Man, the Golden State Warriors. What a story, right? It feels like just yesterday everyone was writing them off. Dynasty over, time to rebuild, all that. And now you look at them and it's like, are we seeing the start of something historic again? They're playing with this crazy confidence, this flow. You almost forget how rough things were for them at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, rewind to the start of the 2025 season. If you told anyone this same core group would be steamrolling teams like this, I think a lot of people would have thought you were nuts. And the source material we've got for today's deep dive really paints that picture. They were lost, outgunned. It felt like they were on the brink of fading into irrelevance. Championship contender that felt like a lifetime ago.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're digging into today. This piece we've got, it calls what the Warriors are doing a basketball revolution. And what's so wild is it's not like they blew up the roster or landed some can't-miss prospect. There's something much deeper happening here. So for everyone listening, if you want to understand how this all went down, how this team went from struggling to dominant, well, we're going to break it all down. No need to watch hours of game footage or read a ton of articles. We've got you covered.
And the thing is, this isn't just a hot streak or anything like that. The source really frames this as a complete transformation, a new identity. And frankly, it feels like the rest of the NBA is scrambling to figure out how to deal with it.
So let's jump right in. The article says the turning point, the real catalyst, was Jimmy Butler arriving mid-season. They even call it a pivotal move. But thinking back, I remember a lot of uncertainty around that trade. What was the reaction like according to the source?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get the sense in the article that people weren't sure what to make of it. It says some folks even called it a desperate gamble by the Warriors. And you can understand why, right? I mean, how would Butler fit into their system? Would his personality, which, let's be honest, is pretty strong, would that mesh with the other veterans? There were a lot of doubts about whether bringing in another high-usage player would actually fix what was wrong.
Right, which, when you look at how things have played out, makes it even more fascinating. So the article breaks down a few key factors behind this turnaround, behind this revolution. What's the first one they point to?
The first big thing is chemistry over ego. And they make this really interesting comparison to the 2023 Phoenix Suns. That team, I mean, come on, Durant, Booker, Paul, they were stacked. Everyone thought they'd be competing for a title. But the article says they basically crumbled under the weight of their own star power.
Man, that Suns team, I remember how much hype there was around them, and it just never clicked. So what did the Warriors do differently? How'd they built that chemistry?
The article really emphasizes their team-first mentality. It's like they moved away from relying on individual brilliance and embraced this idea of winning as a unit. And to prove their point, they bring up this game, a 26-point blowout against the Sacramento Kings. And get this, Steph Curry only scored 11 points.
Wait, 11 points for Steph in a blowout win? That's pretty telling. It's not just about Steph carrying the offense anymore. Everyone's contributing.
Exactly. It shows a huge amount of trust and shared responsibility. And that's what you see in championship teams, right? Everyone knows their role, everyone trusts each other. The second thing the article highlights is, of course, Jimmy Butler himself. And they don't hold back. They call him the ultimate catalyst.
Ultimate catalyst, huh? That's a bold statement. What specifically did Butler bring to the table?
Well, obviously, he puts in numbers. But the article goes beyond that. They say he brought this winning mentality that basically changed the whole culture of the team. They even talk about playoff Jimmy, his reputation for stepping up in big moments. And look, the guy's got a history of leading teams that nobody expected much from to the NBA Finals.
So it wasn't just about adding another talented player. It was about his leadership, his drive, that intangible stuff that's hard to measure. They actually say their success right now is built on heart, leadership, and trust, more than just pure talent.
Yep, that's the key takeaway. They had talent, but they needed that leader, that spark, someone to bring it all together. And the third thing the article talks about is developing a functional system.
Okay, so what does this new identity, this system actually look like? I mean, we all know about the Warriors and their three-pointers. How does that fit in?
So the article says, yeah, the three-point shooting is still a huge part of their game, but now it's part of this bigger picture. They've added relentless defense and unselfish ball movement. It's like they're playing with more purpose, more precision, like they're all working together to execute a masterpiece, not just checking up threes and hoping for the best.
So they've kept the offensive firepower, but added a defensive edge and a more deliberate way of moving the ball. It's more than just running and gunning now. Okay, so the article also uses this interesting framework from Phil Jackson's book, 11 Rings. He talks about 5 stages of a super team. Can you refresh our memories on those stages and then tell us where the Warriors fit in right now?
Sure. So the first stage is dysfunction. Basically, no clear direction, no real leadership. Second is mediocrity. You've got talent, but it's not being used properly. No structure, no buy-in from everyone. The third stage, this is where the 2023 Suns come in, is ego-driven contenders. Tons of star power, but they can't get out of their own way. Too much ego, not enough cohesion. The fourth stage is identity-driven teams. Now you're talking about a team with a system, a culture, everyone's on the same page. And finally, you've got Zen teams. This is the ultimate goal. Talent, trust, teamwork, it all comes together to create something truly special.
So where do the 2025 Warriors land on that scale?
The article says they've moved past being just an identity-driven team. They're climbing towards Zen status. It's like they're approaching this level of almost perfect cohesion, where individual talent makes the whole team even better, and everyone just seems to be reading each other's minds on the court.
That's pretty amazing, this almost mythical Zen level of basketball. Now, to put the Warriors' dominance into perspective, the article also looks at some of the other contenders around the league. What's the take on teams like the OKC Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Boston Celtics? What's the source saying about their chances?
So it's kind of a mixed bag, to be honest. They say the OKC Thunder, even though they're doing really well in the regular season, are unproven in the playoffs. Not a lot of experience in high-pressure games. The Denver Nuggets, who are the defending champs, they're seen as too reliant on Nikola Jokic. Like when he's not on the court or having a great game, they struggle. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they've got talent, but the article says they lack playoff credibility. Maybe some past playoff disappointments are holding them back.
Interesting. And what about the Celtics? They're usually considered the top dog in the East. What does the article say about them versus these Warriors?
They say the Celtics are probably the Warriors' biggest threat. However, there's a big but. They've got a serious Jimmy Butler problem. Apparently, Butler has eliminated the Celtics twice in the last 3 years and was one shot away from making it 3 times.
Wow, that's a pretty clear pattern. So are they saying Butler's got some kind of mental edge over the Celtics? Or maybe a stylistic mismatch?
Yeah, something like that. And they go on to point out that the one time the Celtics managed to avoid Butler in the playoffs, they lost to the Warriors in the finals. So basically, with or without Butler, the Warriors have had their number recently.
It sounds like the other contenders all have their weaknesses, and with Butler in the mix, the Warriors are uniquely positioned to exploit them. So let's talk about the big takeaways from all this. What are the main points the article makes about this Warriors transformation, and are there any bigger lessons we can learn from this whole thing?
The biggest thing they emphasize is that the Warriors didn't need a complete rebuild. They didn't need to go out and get another superstar. They unlocked what was already there. Their core talent was always good enough. They were missing that leader, that piece that could unite them. And that's what Jimmy Butler has done. It's not just his skill, it's his impact on the whole team culture. He's brought back that belief, that sense of purpose.
It's kind of inspiring, right? Sometimes the solution isn't about getting more stuff, it's about leadership and changing your mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And the article's conclusion is that these Warriors are a true super team. Not because they've got a bunch of stars, but because the trust they have, their unselfish style of play, and the way they've all bought into their identity. It's more about the collective than individual talent.
And the article, as we like to do here on the Deep Dive, tries to connect this to a bigger idea, something that applies beyond just basketball. What's the takeaway there?
They talk about internal transformation. How a lot of times people, teams, companies, they all focus on external solutions. They want more resources, more skills, more recognition. But the Warrior story shows us that sometimes the biggest changes come from within, from shifting your mindset, confidence, and belief.
That's a good point. It makes you think about those times when maybe the answer isn't about getting something new, but about changing your approach or building a stronger foundation internally.
Exactly. It's about looking inward before looking outward.
So to sum it all up, this deep dive into the 2025 Warriors shows us a team that defied expectations. They evolved from within, brought in the right piece at the right time, and now they're looking pretty unstoppable. And it reminds us that true dominance isn't just about stacking talent, it's about building a cohesive team that believes in itself and its mission. And the article ends with a pretty bold prediction about their future.
Oh yeah. They basically say the Warriors are set for a historic run. They even go so far as to say the NBA has no answer for this Warriors super team, And honestly, neither does anyone else.
Which, I mean, that makes you stop and think, doesn't it? This goes beyond basketball. It's about the power of team dynamics, about leadership, and about the potential that maybe we all have inside us, but we just haven't unlocked yet. Definitely something to think about as we wrap up this deep dive.